Hello, everyone. Welcome to our first webinar. It's great to have you here. I thought we'd conduct a few of these sessions so that it gets a chance to start a conversation about some of the things that a lot of us are having probably puzzles about, or we have our own way of thinking, and we like to talk with peers. So we thought we'd share what we do and our perspectives on some things, and then it creates a sort of a forum for dialogue between us who are interested in the topic. So that was the idea of basically conducting this webinar series. So I'll probably give an introduction about myself. Because it's 1 hour, we don't have actually time for introduction for everyone, but I have a few spaces where we have kept room to interact and sort of probably at that time, I think I'll really appreciate, and I would love to get to know who has participated and about you as well as your perspectives on what we are talking about today. So shall we get started, because we have limited time and I think all of you like to go home at 5 o'clock. So right now I'm in China. First, I need to sort of let you know that if there's any connection interruption or something, I'll probably use my phone as a backup to join. And yeah, currently don't anticipate it, but you never know what happens. So starting with a bit of an introduction about Anvarta and myself. So probably at the end, I have a few slides about Anvarta. About myself, I've nearly 20 years experience in industrial and industrial ecology and circular economy, and part of it comes from working in the waste and resource recovery sector, mainly in the Asia Pacific, and then I've been a researcher researching on enablers of a circular economy as an academic at Deakin University. So I've taken a number of roles in this area as a practitioner, as a researcher, now as a consultant. Basically, the Anvata is a practice that I'm leading, and there are a few other people involved. At the moment, we are developing quite a few tools and products, and as well as providing services. So I'll talk about that probably at the end, and probably go to the discussion of what we want to talk about today. So what we wanted to share and open a conversation about was what does it mean to move towards a regenerative economy? How do we kind of see it? How do we visualize what it is like and what our journey should be like? And from an organizational point of view, so when we talk about transition, there are different levels we can talk about it. From an organizational point of view, we wanted to get an idea what are some of the approaches that are existing, what are some of the things that we can propose to simplify the way you think about it, and also to propose to you some tools that you can get started with right away. So what does it mean for us to move towards a regenerative model? So it can be done we can talk about it at an economy level, at an industry level, at an organization level, and as well as at product or probably business unit or product level. So to brush through the concepts, if there are people who are new to circular economy, so this one I didn't have actually the usual slides on introduction to circular economy, because I thought like people who are attending are people who are fairly conversant about the topic. But to give a quick recap, when we talk about circular economy, there are a few other concepts that we have to talk about. And some of them are low carbon economy, where we try to promote achieving better or higher economic output while producing less greenhouse gas emissions. Another one is another concept that is associated is dematerialized economy, which means we are trying to have more service aspects introduced to the economy when we have economic activity. and have less material. So if you kind of take the materials as infinite, we are extracting material, have a lot of material going through the economy to produce a certain amount of economic output, but in a dematerialized economy, we are more like we're providing a lot of services to keep that material in service for us, but the amount of material is less. Performance economy is where we try to achieve the optimum optimum service performance from products. And the heart and the core of circular economy, what we call as circular economy, different people have different definitions around it. But in general, it's about uh, optimizing regeneration of economic resources. So these economic resources can be in the industrial cycle or in the biological cycle. So achieving optimum regeneration is what is the core objective of a circular economy. I had this one slide where I usually used to describe the principles of circular economy at a very high level. So the best way that I want to describe is that in a linear economy, I relate it to economic activities. So in a linear economy, usually when we think of, as an example, buying a washing machine, we usually consider purchasing it and then using it, and at the end of life, disposing of it. So that's the only, or rather the most common way of approaching it. In a circular economy, we think about it a bit differently. Before we even purchase a washing machine, if we want to wash the clothes, we ask this fundamental question: what is the human need that is associated with basically buying a washing machine? So it is washing clothes. So our outcome that we want to achieve is actually to have washed clothes. We then come to the question, what's the service or the utility that we expect from the washing machine? And then the associated product that provides that service is the washing machine. So we kind of start at a bit of a high level to break it down so that we don't get limited with just one option of purchasing something, using something, and disposing of something. And the other interesting thing is that we got to think not just at the product level. There are components that make a product, and there are materials that make components. And all of this matter when we talk about circular economy, because if we are to design something to go along either the industrial cycle or the biological cycle, we have to think of it at this minute or detail level. And the initial concepts that I presented to you, we are trying to optimize regeneration of all of this. We are trying to dematerialize it, which means have less materials, more services in the economy. We want to get the products to perform well to give the output we want. And we are doing this all without compromising the objectives of decarbonization, which means we are not having the environmental impact of whatever the service we provide is what we will basically we want to keep it at a minimum. So the number of options, if you think of how we can do it, there are a number of options. The way that a circular economy works, we can generally talk about 8 different strategies. Again, coming to the example of the washing machine, we could share it so that we could have, for example, access to communal use of a number of washing machines where we share. So the asset utilization is optimum, and the amount of one product working to provide service to the economy is at a very high level. The second one is maintain. This is where we talk about product service systems. Can we obtain the services of the product without owning the product? So we consider things like hiring performance of it, hiring it per period, hiring number of cycles of use, so which are all options for a washing machine. So a provider basically brings an equipment to you. He or she owns the equipment, but you pay per cycle of use, for example. That's the maintain model. The third one is reuse. You purchase it, but then you keep the options for reusing it. So either you kind of sell it in a second-hand market, buy pre-used items. That's the third one. Repair is where you would sell repair services sometimes along the sale of the product, which again enhances and optimizes service life. So with 1, 2, 3, 4, we have basically exhausted the uh, options for the product. We are then going for refurbishment and remanufacturing, which is at component level. Are there opportunities for us to repair the worn out? Are there opportunities for us to remanufacture some of the components and keep on using it? Failing that, we go for material level modification. So can we upcycle? Can we basically design parts and components of the washing machine, knowing where it'll end up, and design for that use? For example, you before modifying materials, you design the lid of the washing machine to become a lid of the washing machine, or you design the lid of the washing machine to become the base of the washing machine next. So you kind of have a predetermined idea where materials would end up. You go for minimum material modifications and use it as an upcycled element. Last but not least, is recycle. We usually associate this word with commodity recycling, but there are a range of recycling. For example, some of the upcycling, we still call it recycling. Um, so in a circular economy, because we want to lower the greenhouse gas emissions, we want to optimize the options at the top and then minimize options at the bottom, because all the options at the top utilizes the assets and the products better, and they're associated with emission of less greenhouse gas emissions in general. All the options at the bottom, the more bottom it is, there's impact is higher in general. In general, once again, there could be variations and modifications to what I'm telling, but in general, that's the case. So that's the quick overview about circular economy. We are proceeding to talk about organizational transition.